right. I call to order the regular meeting of Medford on February 17th, 2026. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Oakland Public Meetings Act. This meeting on February 17th, 2026 was included in a meeting notice sent to the Burlington County Times and the Central Record on January 7th, 2026, and advertised in said newspapers on January 11th, 2026, and January 15th, 2026, respectively, posted on the website and on the bulletin board in the municipal building on January 7th, 2026, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file with the Office of the Municipal Clerk. Please rise for the flags. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, Ms. Wicker, the roll, please.
Ms. Santamore? Here. Mr. Cox?
Here.
Ms. Hill?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Voorhees?
Here.
Mayor Sizik?
Here. All right. Before we begin with our very special presentations this evening, I just wanted to take a moment to introduce Mr. Pat Varga. He's sitting in for Mr. McGuckin. He's part of the Dasty Law Firm.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. And Mr. McGuckin, as he was hired kind of at the end of the tenure there of Mr. Prime, he had previous engagements tonight that he couldn't make it. We knew Mr. Varga was going to be here. And Mr. Varga does have experience here in Medford. He served as our zoning board attorney for 6 years.
Last 5 to 6 years, yes.
Yes, perfect. So thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right. So tonight we have the privilege of recognizing something that often goes unseen, but never unfelt. Decades of quiet, steady service to the people of Medford. Public service is not always glamorous. It happens in the early mornings, during snowstorms, behind inspection reports, in pump stations, at well sites, and on the fire ground. It happens when most of us are asleep or simply going about our day. The 3 proclamations I'm about to read represent more than retirements. They represent lifetimes of commitment to safety, to infrastructure, to leadership, and to this community we all call home. It's my honor, on behalf of the Medford Township Council, to recognize these individuals whose work strengthens Medford in ways well beyond today. We'll have the Velasco family join us up front first. You'd like to join us over here? There you go. Okay. Actually, I'll have you stand this with them. All right. You can do it with your family. Okay. Proclamation honoring Richard Velasco. Whereas Richard Velasco began his dedicated service to the Township of Medford in June of 2000, where he was hired as the acting plumbing subcode official, inspection of health, housing, and safety department. Whereas through his professionalism, technical expertise, and unwavering commitment to public safety, Mr. Velasco earned the trust and respect of his colleagues, township leaders, and the residents he served. Whereas in 2007, Mr. Velasco assumed the additional role of building inspector, taking on expanded responsibilities while continuing to carry out his existing duties with dignity and integrity. Whereas in 2012, Mr. Velasco was appointed construction official of Medford Township, a position of significant responsibility in which he provided steady leadership, sound judgment, and a deep understanding of codes and regulations critical to the safety and well-being of our community. And whereas, through his 25 years of service, Mr. Velasco consistently demonstrated dedication to excellence, fairness in enforcement, and a strong work ethic, contributing greatly to the effective operations of the township construction and inspection functions. Whereas, Mr. Velasco retired from Medford Township on December 31st, 2025, concluding a distinguished career marked by professionalism, reliability, and a genuine commitment to public service. Now let it be proclaimed that the Mayor and Township Council of Medford do hereby recognize and honor Richard Velasco for his 25 years of faithful and service to the Township of Medford. And be it further proclaimed that the Township extends its significant gratitude and best wishes to Mr. Velasco and his family for a long, healthy, and fulfilling retirement, and expresses its appreciation for the lasting impact of his service to the Medford community. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Would you be okay taking a picture? All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. Next, we'll be honoring David Frake. All right, we got the whole crew here. All right. Proclamation honoring David Frake upon his retirement. Whereas David Frake began his service with the Township of Medford in August 1997 as a member of the Municipal Utilities Division as a linesman. Whereas since 2010, David has served as a water distribution and water treatment operator, demonstrating skill, professionalism, and dedication to the essential services that protect the health, safety, and environment of our community. And whereas David earned his State of New Jersey licenses as a water distribution operator, W-2, and water treatment operator, T2, further strengthening the Township's ability to provide safe, reliable drinking water to its residents. And whereas David also holds a C2 license in sewer certifications, reflecting his broad knowledge and commitment to excellence within the utility division. And whereas, through his career, David assisted with critical upgrades and rehabilitations to multiple municipal wells, helping to maintain and improve the Township's water infrastructure. And whereas, David's responsible for multiple utility emergencies, ensuring prompt service and safeguarding public health, public health, property, and the environment during urgent and unforeseen situations. And whereas, in addition to his utility responsibilities, David contributed to the Township operations through snow removal efforts, demonstrating his willingness to serve whenever needed. And whereas, David concluded his distinguished career as a utilities foreman, providing leadership, guidance, and experience to his colleagues and department. Now, let it be proclaimed by the Township of Medford Township Council that we hereby honor and recognize David Frake for his many years of dedicated and faithful service to the residents of Medford Township, and extend their sincere appreciation and best wishes for continued health, happiness, and fulfillment in your retirement. Thank you, sir. proclamation honoring Chief Wayne Rockhill upon his retirement. Whereas Wayne Rockhill joined the fire service in 1965 as a firefighter with the Union Fire Company of Medford, New Jersey, with his first credited year of service being 1965. And whereas Wayne Rockhill has faithfully and honorably served the Township of Medford for over 60 years. And whereas Wayne is a life member of the Union Fire Company and an active member of the Burlington County Tractor Pullers Association. And whereas, through his distinguished career, Wayne served as the first assistant chief to the Union Fire Company and held the ranks of lieutenant, captain, and chief engineer. And whereas, Wayne has proudly represented Medford Township as a life member of the New Jersey State Firemen's Association and as a member of the Medford Exempt Association. And whereas, during his 60 years of dedicated public service, Wayne has earned the deep admiration and respect of the Township Council, Township officials, fellow firefighters, professional colleagues, friends, family, and the residents he so faithfully served. And whereas, Wayne has been instrumental in the operations of the Union Fire Company, dedicating countless hours to repairing and maintaining fire apparatus and responding with Tanker 2516 to numerous fires and emergencies throughout Medford, Burlington County, and the state of New Jersey. And whereas, Wayne played a key role in the planning and procurement of numerous pieces of department apparatus, ensuring the continued safety and readiness of the community. Now let it be proclaimed that the Township Council of Medford, that they do hereby recognize and honor Wayne Rockhill for his exemplary 60 years of dedicated service to the residents of Medford Township and Burlington County, and extend their sincere appreciation and best wishes for continued health and happiness in the years ahead. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dovey?
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Manager Hornicle, council members, Chief Rockhill, and guests. Tonight, we have the privilege of recognizing Chief Wayne Rockhill. The proclamation spoke of Chief Rockhill's accomplishments as the first assistant chief of the Union Fire Company and his 60 years of service to the residents. What I'm going to speak about is Wayne as a person and his dedication to the fire company and the community he has served. Wayne Rockhill's name is as synonymous with Medford as Kirby's Mill. No matter where you go or what firehouse you stop in, someone knows Wayne. His reputation is due to Wayne's hard work and knowledge of all things mechanical. Whether Wayne was working in a field on a combine or at home with his family, when the siren sounded, sometimes because he was responsible for pushing the button at the Main Street Firehouse, Wayne was there to serve. Before 911, the police dispatcher would call Wayne's house, and because he lived next door to the firehouse, he would sound the siren to alert the other members that there was a call. There are stories that he would almost miss a truck because he was sounding the siren. If you look back over all the major emergencies we responded to in town, Wayne was there. His most important job was ensuring that we had water to fight the fire. Wayne would bring the tanker and was an expert in rural water supply operations. Yes, Wayne has drafted water from the creek to fight fires in the village. Wayne's role went beyond responding to emergencies. Because of his mechanical knowledge and background, Wayne was our chief engineer. Wayne would diagnose and repair fire trucks, pumps, and just about anything gas operated. This made him an invaluable asset to our department and saved countless dollars. When we had a piece of farm equipment overturn and trap the operator, Wayne was there to guide the rescue personnel through stabilizing and safely extricating the farmer. Even in retirement, Wayne continues to serve our community. With the recent snowstorm, Wayne operated one of the tractors and could be found on the southern end of Medford with his thermos plowing the roadways. Wayne's example as a community servant has been carried on by his sons, Christopher and Stephen. I'm sure we will see his grandkids serve also as they get older. I would be remiss if I did not thank Wayne's wife for all her support and sacrifice. I will truly miss seeing Wayne driving the tanker. However, I will guarantee that Wayne will still show up at the major emergencies in town and be a resource to the incident commanders. Wayne's institutional knowledge of the township is irreplaceable. However, he has and will continue to share that knowledge over coffee. On behalf of the mayor, township manager, council, and the members of the department, we wish to congratulate Chief Wayne Rockhill on his many accomplishments that have spanned his 60 years of service with Medford Township and on his retirement. His legacy will be reflected well into the future of this department. To Chief Rockhill and his family, we say thank you and good luck. As you transition into retirement, be proud of your accomplishments. You are an example to all of us, and take some time in your favorite place to relax, which is probably at the firehouse sitting on the bench with a cup of coffee. Wayne, we are honored to present you with this axe as a thank you for 60 years of dedicated service to Medford Township. Congratulations and best of luck. It's more than well deserved. Yeah. Pictures? Yep, Cap's got it.
At this time, we typically give the members of the audience an opportunity, if you don't want to stick around for the boring stuff, you're more than welcome to leave at this time or stick around. It's up to you. But nothing would be as exciting as what we just experienced. Thank you. All right, we are now moving on to communications. Do any of the members of council have anything that they'd like to share?
I do.
Okay, right ahead.
So when I started, one of the things I did was look back over all the different meetings and the questions that were asked. And I've been forwarding those questions to the folks who could answer them, because that wasn't me. So one of the questions that came up was test pits and whether we would have a witness. So going forward, we will have a witness for everything. And in the last set that were done, also were witnessed by Chris Knoll's company. So I did ask him for a brief statement that I could read. So forgive me for reading this, but I want to get it word for word. So in reference to test pits, soil borings at Medford affordable housing sites. In reference to Parkview at Medford. The preliminary test sites, soil borings, were completed on February 13th, 2026. They were witnessed by my office. Again, this is from Chris Knowles himself. These results will be utilized to refine the conceptual layout, particularly with respect to stormwater management. Further investigations will be performed and witnessed by this office during the design stages. The reports of illegal dumping of fill material on the site date from 2019 were noted, and we are aware. A notice of violation was issued by the town and by the NJDP, by the town, and the NJDEP was notified. the NJDEP, in conjunction with the Department of Agriculture, Natural Resource Conservation Service, investigated the complaint and required remediation, which appears to have been statistically completed in 2020. My company will continue to follow up on this. Trollinger/Key and Camp EFS. Preliminary test pits, soil borings were conducted months ago and were not witnessed by this office, as we did not ask them to, we did not ask them to start witnessing them. They will continue to do that going forward. Additional investigations will be required for stormwater design purposes and will be witnessed by this office. ERI reserves the right to require additional borings as required by Medford ordinance and state regulations. And it was signed Christopher J. Knowles, Township engineer. So that does answer some of the questions that I believe were mentioned in the November and December meetings.
Are you going to put that on the website?
I can definitely do that. Yes, that's a great call. Thank you.
Because not everyone's here.
Yes, I mean, it's recorded, but it's actually
Oh,
a great
okay,
call.
yeah.
No, it's a great call.
Yeah, and that's been a hot topic.
Yeah.
Because we've had public comment about that and people have been concerned, so we appreciate, Mr. Nolan, yourself, try to follow up on that
Yeah,
and make sure
thank
that there's oversight for the township on those tests, we're not just gonna take their word for it.
We are not just taking their words for it.
All right, anyone else? No? Okay, I just had a few, random's a funny word, it's actually Random Act of Kindness Day, so Jim, we're looking for that out of you, I'm joking, but I just found it, interesting that today was Random Act of Kindness Day. I wanted to bring that up to everyone's attention. And then obviously yesterday was President's Day. Everybody hopefully enjoyed that day and was able to reflect on different levels of government and how we can serve and give back. And coming up in March, there's a few big events that will start happening, and we'll note them at later meetings. All right. No more comments. We'll move on. Next up is scheduling items. Our next regular scheduled meeting is March 3rd, 2026. It's a regular council meeting here at the Public Safety Building at 6:30. And then our March 17th meeting, which will be our first town hall meeting, is currently slated to be at this building, the Public Safety Building, at 6:30. More details to come on that. Now we have approval of minutes. We have two. January 2nd, 2026 council meeting minutes and February 3rd, 2026 council meeting minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the minutes? No? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Minutes are approved.
Did you say January 2nd or January 20th?
Oh, I'm sorry. I may have misspoke there. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Voorhees. The approval of minutes was in reference to the January 20th, 2026. Thank you. All right. We have no discussion items listed on the agenda this evening. Next, we have our public comment section. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the incredible gift we're about to do. Across the world, countless people still dream of the freedoms we have, freedoms that so many brave men and women have sacrificed their lives to defend. These rights we exercise tonight to speak openly, to disagree respectfully, and to be heard by our community are not just privileges, they are inalienable, God-given rights paid for in courage and sacrifice. Let us honor that by engaging each other with civility, with respect, and with a shared commitment to building a stronger community together. I'll ask members of council, even though we don't have any amendments to the ordinance, if I may give an extra minute to significant speakers if needed.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Great. So I'll ask Mr. Hornicle to keep the time, provide me a 1-minute warning 4 minutes in, and I ask that the members of council hold their comments unless they're questioned directly by the members that are the public that's speaking, and then at that time we can decide to pause or answer the questions at the end. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand and you'll be called to the microphone. Please state your name and any portion of your address you feel comfortable, and please speak loudly and clearly into the microphone. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, my name is Tom Rennie, live at 272 Church Road, Medford. I'm speaking tonight to advise and warn of the potential catastrophic effect that the 3 high-density housing units will cause and have an effect on the stormwater runoff around Kirby's Mill. Kirby's Mill is on Church Road by the dam on the southwest branch of the Rancocas. This area is the lowest elevation point in Medford. Most of the stormwater in Medford eventually ends up at this site. Currently, this area has floods approximately 3 to 5 times per year. Every time the water goes over Church Road, the county blocks off the road from all traffic. And it isn't to keep the vehicles from stalling out on the road. It's because of fear that Church Road will collapse due to the water that's seeping around and under the dam. Now we have 3 large high-density housing units being proposed, 2 of which are right next to the mill. The stormwater runoff will increase drastically due to these 3 developments. The increase will drastically increase because of the hard surfaces of coverings from the miles of roads that will be part of these developments, the parking lots, sidewalks, and the roofs of over 1,000 facilities. Our coalition has asked 4 engineering firms what their concerns are in regarding these developments and the effect that they will have. And each one came up with the same conclusion, that these 3 developments will cause dramatic increase in stormwater runoff, no matter how many retention ponds are put in. Kirby's Mill complex area is the most historic area in Medford. There are 18 historic structures within a stone's throw of the mill. The mill itself, as we all know, is the symbol of Medford and gets flooded every time it rains hard now, each time causing damage to the foundation. With the drastic increase of potential flooding, Kirby's Mill and several surrounding historic sites will be in jeopardy of collapsing. The Medford crest behind you will have to have a new words put across it that says, "in memory of." As horrible as this sounds, right behind the mill is the Medford sewer plant and maintenance facility that processes a large percentage of Medford's sewer waste. The thought of the sewer plant being flooded is mind-boggling. The damage and cleanup would be overwhelming. The contamination would travel down the southwest branch of the Rancocas all the way to the Rancocas River, causing massive damage to every municipality along the way. And who will be liable for that cleanup? I feel it's going to be Medford, because you knew in advance and have been warned about the potential of this stormwater runoff, but still approve the developments.
Sir, we're going to grant one
We
extra
are
minute.
talking about millions and millions of dollars of damages that Medford could be liable for. Anybody watching the news realizes that global warming has been increasing the number of storms and their intensity. Just within the last few years, storms have caused trillions of dollars in damage to our country. If there's one thing that I've learned by viewing the results of these storms is never, I mean never, underestimate the power of water. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Pollack, would you like to go next? Okay. Mr. Schiffer? You only get 4 minutes, so that's it.
Hi, my name is Jim Schiffer. I live at 209 Taunton Boulevard, and I wrote this before I was aware that it was Act of Kindness Day. Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't.
At least go, how about an easy day? But go
I
easy
crossed
on
some
council
things
day.
out in here after
All
you
right.
said that, all right?
We'll take it.
All right. So I write this stuff down so I don't lose my train of thought. The last time I was here, the gentleman to my right, Mr. Hornicle, gave a detailed list of statistics regarding the Medford Police Department's attempt at enforcement of the speed limit on Taunton Boulevard. One statistic stated that there was only one accident on Taunton Boulevard in recent memory that resulted in bodily injury. And that raises the question, is the benchmark for enforcement of the speed limit on Taunton Boulevard now measured by how much blood is spilled on the street, disregarding the residents and their quality of life? Is that no longer important? You might want to think about that before spewing out numbers that have to date have failed to address the problem on Taunton Boulevard. In the 6 years since I approached the township about the excessive speeding on Taunton Boulevard, several things have occurred. One, the average speed in 85 percentile through our residential neighborhood has increased. Obviously, the 15% of enforcement efforts on Taunton Boulevard have failed. And much like the Phillies, who run it back year after year, Medford Township continues to run it back by promoting within the police department in spite of these failures. Maybe it's time for some new blood to be brought in to get the overt speeding issues throughout this township under control. The old approach is not working. Secondly, we continue for the millionth time, almost literally, to ask the same question. Why aren't construction vehicles ticketed for speeding on Taunton Boulevard? The same goes for any other large vehicle on our roadway. It's bad enough we have to tolerate these vehicles day after day, upwards of 180 a day over 40 feet, okay? 180 over 40 feet every single day. But the fact that we also have to tolerate them speeding is unacceptable. I told Chief Waterman years ago that if he would just have his officers ticket several truck drivers, somebody's going to lose their ticket to drive for speeding, that word would get out not to speed on Taunton Boulevard, and that has never occurred. Instead, we look for methods to slap Band-Aids on the problem instead of going directly at it. In closing, I'd just like to say that it's pathetic that the residents of Lake Pine, many of whom are elderly and on fixed incomes, had to find it necessary to purchase signs to curb the speeding on our roadway. You've all seen them, but they're now all plowed under the snow. But we have more. I have 50 new ones on my front porch that are going to go out as soon as the snow is gone. What more can we do? Do we need to police the roadway ourselves? Do I need to go out there and start stopping trucks? Spring will soon be here, and we'll want to open our windows. It won't be long until the collective neighborhood will once again be up in arms and will be here at these meetings. It's hard to get people out when the weather's bad and cold. I'd like to close by asking Councilman Cox if he has had any additional conversations since the last time I was here with the fine folks in Evesham Township about our request for weight restrictions and I'll stick around, and hopefully you'll get a chance to answer that after the meeting. Thank you all for your time, and happy Act of Kindness Day.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Lucas, is that okay? Ms. Holloway, you'll be next.
Good evening. Mary Lucas, 207 Taunton Boulevard, Medford. A couple things, and sort of following up on Jim, and maybe my tone will be different, but the message is the same. We really need your help. We really do. And I've had this thought all day today that bureaucracy should not be an impediment to good government. And think about that, there are different entities are working on different projects, some are working on ours, but the bureaucracy should not be an impediment to good government in getting things done. The problem worsens on Taunton Boulevard. Since we've had the snow, as you know, there's no shoulder to that road. To get the mail, I have to walk out literally in the street, down a ways to the mailbox and hope I don't get hit in the meanwhile. The speeding increases. The lanes are narrower because there's still snow on the edge of the roadway. So it's definitely still a problem. And I guess the other side of it is, and Jim alluded to it or spoke to it, is that there seems to be no consequence for the speeding. It just continues. I propose that the council prepare a resolution to be sent to the county and also the State Department of Transportation on our behalf that will ask them to move on this notion of getting the speed restrictions and the weight restrictions as soon as possible, because we need that support. We're not going to rely on whether Evesham decides they want to participate or they don't. We can't. I believe Medford is a community that can stand tall for what they believe in, and I believe this is action that needs to be taken, and sooner rather than later. I also offer my driveway to have the police officers stay during the night to observe the speeding that occurs. Every night from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, huge trucks come, rattle the homes, and there's no consequence. And I think that's part of the frustration, And as Jim said, if a couple of trucks are ticketed, maybe it might slow things down or at least make them aware that there will be consequences. And it's unfortunate that people don't see that. And we're just, kind of victims now because nothing's really happening with that. And it's not, I worked in government my whole career, so I always know government's looking for a bottom line. There's no bottom line on changing a speed limit. There's no bottom line on posting weight restrictions. It's a win-win. So I hope that, we can look forward to some action. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Varga, if I may, just in our debrief with Mr. McGuckin, if we could bring to his attention a potential resolution to be drafted on behalf of the council to the entities that Mrs. Lucas recommended.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know yourself and one other, but we're going to let you go first.
I have a quick question. Why don't they give out more tickets there?
Ticketing is not something that we as council are allowed to dictate. It is the most, I don't want to misspeak, but I think it's, sir, do you mind if I ask you the proper terminology here? It's the most traffic patrolled road in Medford, is that correct?
Based on the statistics, yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we have the highest presence of Medford
This
police.
doesn't help.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Just before we change the subject, though, Mr. Hornick, could you provide an update on the shared service agreement with the county that we pulled from the last meeting?
Yeah, certainly. I did communicate with the county, and I've had our engineer, Chris Knoll, communicate with the county. The county has the county engineer, and below the county engineer is the county traffic engineer. So the traffic engineer is the one that's responsible for the shared service agreement. He was out vacation last week. He's out vacation this week. I'm told he'll be back next week. He wants to review the shared service agreement one last time and then get it on the Board of Commissioners agenda. So we're optimistic that we can have it here for the March 3rd meeting.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Floor is yours.
My name is Mary Ann Holloway, and I'm going to be pointing out some specifics, and there may be questions or there may be answers. L171-25, that was, there was a mediation agreement and a settlement signed by Judge Bookbinder. On page 6 of that settlement, the program settlement recommendation signed by Judge Bookbinder states that they grant the municipality continued protection of law and immunity from exclusionary zoning litigation, and for the duration of the compliance process conditioned upon the municipality's compliance with its order and good faith implementation of the amended HESPA, H-E-F-S-P, and good faith participation in the compliance process, which you are in. You are in a state of strict compliance. Page 1 of the mediation agreement states that Medford's present need is 69 units. The rest of the units do not have to be planned or rushed, and the town should not commit to a developer when it does not have to at this time. On page 24, it states that the fourth round need, the township plans to submit an external housing survey to reduce the present need obligation. Upon resolution of the present need obligation, the township will provide mechanisms of compliance, including funding rehabilitation, market to affordable, and alternatives. I ask, if all of the above is contained in the mediation and signed agreements filed with the courts, what is the rush on designating a developer? That not only hurts the residents of Medford, it legally triggers other mechanisms that favor the designated developer and hurts the township, and in fact, could cause unnecessary litigation. There's also a stipulation on page 20. The township, by February 15, 2026, and annually, agrees to electronically enter data into the AMHS system of the DCA of up-to-date municipal information concerning the number of affordable units actually constructed, construction of start dates, certificate of occupancies granted, and the start and expiration dates of the deed restrictions. Has this happened? After all of the above, on the agenda this evening is a resolution to go into executive session to discuss contract negotiations. You should have to disclose to the public what contract is going to be discussed. So I'm asking, what exactly is that on the table to be discussed in executive session? Is it directly concerning the naming of a redeveloper? I also want to ask, if we have the 69 units, this council has said repeatedly that they are sincere in extending the deed restrictions. There has been some talk that those deed restriction extensions do not apply to round 4. After a lengthy analysis of all of the state legislation, the laws, the rules, and regulations, in fact, they do apply to round 4. Not only do they apply to round 4, the legislation highly suggests that the townships do this to mitigate having to build excessive housing. So they put that in the legislation to help. It does apply to round 4. I have the analysis. I have gone to 2 attorneys. I have asked to make sure it's a correct statement. It is. I know that the new council people, Ms. Voorhees, Mr. Cox, are working very hard on the extensions. I know letters were sent out. I have exerted a lot of energy into having this happen. But I'm asking, in the executive session tonight, are you discussing naming a redeveloper?
I don't believe we're able to discuss.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we're not allowed to discuss what we will be discussing in executive session. If you would like, I can respond to some of the comments about the mediation agreement as well as the impact of the revised regulations, the township's obligations on round 4, as well as this conversation about the ability to deed restrict the previously deed restricted. So I can provide a little bit of information on that right now if you'd like, or we can wait
Yeah,
Until you're
I
done
would
with
like to
comment.
give Ms. Holloway,
I'm done.
okay, and we've,
She's got 45 seconds left. so-
okay,
I'm done.
okay.
I'm getting better.
Deputy Mayor Voorhees, would you like Mr. Varga?
I would.
Yeah.
Okay, so first I want to talk about the HEFSP for everybody. That is the Housing Element and Fair Share Plan. Every municipality is required by state. I get yelled at for doing this for 6 years at the zoning board because I never talk into it.
Yeah.
So every municipality in the state is required to have a housing element and fair share plan. There are certain optional elements for every master plan, and there's about 6 of them that are required. The housing element and fair share plan is required. It's technically been required since 1978 when the first Mount Laurel decision came out, followed by 1985 when the second Mount Laurel decision came out. And since then, the state has evolved into a ever-changing version of regulations governing the provision of affordable housing in the state. The paragraph, I believe you mentioned it was on page 4, but it deals with the period of repose, which is the immunity from lawsuit. Now, what does that mean? If the township does not comply and implement this housing element and fair share plan and show to the state of New Jersey how it intends to satisfy its obligation, both present and proposed, then a builder can come in and file what's called a builder's remedy lawsuit. And if they have a parcel of property, say in downtown Medford, that they want to put on a 5-story apartment building and they prevail under a builder's remedy because this 5-story apartment building is going to provide and satisfy the township's affordable obligation, they get it. It's an ability to strip the township away from having authority to enforce its own zoning regulation. So it's incredibly important that when you are addressing the housing element and fair share plan that you do it and you also simultaneously show and establish how you are going to satisfy your present and prospective need. So there was a comment about why are we rushing into this? Why are we designating a redeveloper? Well, the way the township has negotiated with the Fair Share Housing Center, who objected to your proposed plan back in August, was to utilize the redevelopment process. So as a condition of being allowed to be essentially cloaked in what we call this period of repose, we have to show how we are using this redevelopment process and prove to the court by technically March 15th, should we not get an extension, that these 3 properties will satisfy our prospective and reasonable need for both. So it's not so much as we're optionally rushing into it, is you have a choice. You do it the way required by the law, which is to, in this case, we're using the redevelopment process, or alternatively, you risk being stripped of your ability to enforce your zoning regulations, meaning any type of development can happen anywhere in the town. You lose your right. Your planning board becomes null and void. Your zoning board becomes null and void. It is incredibly important to comply with. An example is the Borough of Englewood Cliffs, which I unfortunately know about because I got involved after their zoning board and planning board were stripped of their authority because they refused to implement their 3rd round obligation. They stood firm and said, we're not having any affordables, we don't need it, we don't want to utilize the redevelopment process. So the judge in that case stripped the town of its planning authority, appointed a special master, and every planning application goes to that special master for approval. You don't want that here. So the way the plan is set up now and the way your proposal is set up is to avoid that catastrophic failure. The last comment, I believe, was the deed restriction. And if I miss anything, please ask me, and I will certainly hit that as well. So with respect to the deed restrictions, under the current revised regulations, could you technically go out and acquire new properties to deed restrict and pay for them to be deed restricted? Yes, and I believe it's 40 years now under the current, it was either 30 or 40. And you could go out and technically find 469 units. Well, the way the housing element's been prepared and the way we're utilizing the redevelopment process, that ability is long gone and past. We have until March 15th to prove and satisfy. You also candidly don't have the funds available. There's $356,000 available in the Affordable Trust Fund. It will take millions upon millions of dollars to deed restrict everything. Now, also, all the properties that are currently deed restricted, you cannot utilize those to satisfy your 4th round need, nor can you now say it's a deed restriction is expiring during the 4th round, then reinforce that as a new deed restriction. This may be a remedy that's available to you in the 5th round, but it is not available right now.
if I may just ask for clarification, so if a deed restriction is expiring within the term of the fourth round, would those be able to be deed restricted for 40 more years to satisfy the fourth round number?
Fourth round would be 30.
Not to the fourth, to the fifth.
Fifth round, okay.
So I'm going to strongly disagree with council. One of the things that's happened is under NJSA 52,
If I may,
27B.
just I'll give you the extra minute, but we're
All
just
right.
going to go one extra.
All right, let me just cut to the chase.
Sure.
The legal and regulatory findings. You can immediately count the credits for the extended deed restrictions in the fourth round. It is part of the legislation, it is contained in it, and it is emphasized. I could read it to you. Council is misstating something, and I'm going to strongly object to what he's misstating. I can read, and so can other people, and I'll be glad to give it to you, so you can read it also. Okay? As far as the builder's remedy, Medford is right now in strict compliance. By March 15th, the zoning had to be done, which you are in the process of doing, you've already done it. It doesn't say anything about naming a redeveloper. You will be in strict compliance when you rezone that property. It doesn't, you only have an immediate need of 69. It's contained in the litigation. So I'm disagreeing with the council again, respectfully. So I will provide the paperwork. I will make sure that legally it's understood. There's no reason to do this. And by doing it, you're hurting the town. So I think everybody kind of knows that I don't shoot from the hip, that I research, I read. I don't pull this stuff out of the air. So although I respectfully, strongly disagree with you, I do hope that you read it yourself and not just take a statement as gospel. Thank you.
Mayor,
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
And
You go for-
if I may,
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
No.
Thank you very much. We have given you your
Yes,
pleasure.
I'm
So we'll continue to convene
Yep.
through council comments.
I just have a quick question. When you were talking about builder's remedy, how is the builder involved? Does he have to go through the courts? Is the builder the one who originally made an offer? How does that work? Who is the builder?
So
Not me.
if it's, let's say, I'm going to say Toll Brothers, for example.
Okay, yeah.
So let's assume you were not,
We're
I'm
compliant.
sorry. Let's assume you were not in compliance.
Right.
And Toll Brothers applied for an application for a planned development and they got denied.
Okay.
Then they would be allowed to go to court and sue for that planned development under their builder's remedy version of a lawsuit.
Right.
And at which point, if the court found that you were not in compliance with your affordable housing obligation, the builder's remedy lawsuit would be granted,
Right.
as would their planned development.
Okay.
So that could be any developer. It could be Toll Brothers. It could be Pat Varga Construction
That was my
LLC.
question.
It could be anybody that is a developer.
Okay.
And if not a developer per se, it could be a Joe Schmo down the street coming in.
Okay. That's important. I'm sorry.
Mayor, can I ask a question too? Pat, would we be obligated to pay the developers' attorney's fees if they had to go to court?
Yes. If it was a builder's remedy lawsuit, you would be required to pay attorney's fees.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I will say one thing, I'm sad that, because she's still here. You would note that 2 weeks ago, we refused, I believe Ray and I tabled and amended, sorry, I don't always use the right words, the option to name a developer. So we do hear you. I will say I've done a lot of research and spoke to a lot of different lawyers, and I will respectfully disagree with you on the fourth versus fifth round. The good news is I'm not the final answer. We do have an affordable housing subcommittee that we will talk about tonight. We've already put the offer out to 3 different folks who have reached out to us who are interested. They are passionate, they are sincere, and we have our first meeting already set up. So we are looking into all of those things. It is a very sincere statement when I say to you, we are looking at it. We are not just blindly following, just because someone said to me, Deputy Mayor Voorhees, you need to vote yes. Pretty much a sure sign I'll say no. It's the truth. This group, everyone I've talked to on this group, is not the same group that used to sit up here. They are listening, they are hearing, they are researching. We are trying, but to some degree, our hands are tied, and on those areas, we're stuck. But for everything else, I want my kids to come back here. They're not going to come back here if it's an overgrown, high-density jungle.
So if I give you the information on the legal aspect.
I'll happily take it. I read everything you gave me last time. I'll happily read it again. We're good.
Thank you, Deputy Member Reeves. Thank you, Council.
I just have one question from Mr. Varga. Mr. Varga, we have not yet named the developer as a Township Council. One of the requests that I have is that prior to a redeveloper being named, that council be provided the agreement of sales indicating that the developer has an agreement of sale with the property owners. Is that something that we are entitled to receive?
As the contractual purchaser for the piece of
Yes.
property that they're requesting to be designated as the redeveloper?
Yes.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't be able to, but I'd be happy just to double check it. If I knew for certain, I would tell you 100% yes or no, but I can't think of a good reason to tell you no right now.
I just want to make sure that I can understand if a property owner and a developer have an agreement of sale, absolutely. But if there's not an agreement of sale, then council and the township should take action to name that redeveloper, whether it be through an RFP process or some other competitive process to have a redeveloper named. But I just want to make sure that there is a contractual agreement between the redeveloper and or the landowners.
Understood.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Anyone else? Ms. Pollock?
Okay, good evening. Kim Pollock, 264 Church Road, Medford. So, broad picture. With regard to the fourth round, it looks like we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Once we set the architect's housing unit renderings aside and closely review feasibility, it becomes clear that this is a bad plan laden with serious public safety hazards. Therefore, I'm respectfully requesting that Council consider vacating the fourth round plan, refrain from wasting any more precious time and resources, and pivot. First public safety hazard is the impending traffic. Clearly, the roads, intersections, small bridges can't handle thousands of additional vehicles daily with little or no modifications that can be made. The existing traffic flow, augmented by thousands of vehicles daily, will result in gridlock. In addition to everyone being significantly delayed to get where they're going, how will children get to school on time? How will traffic flow with school buses stopping periodically all the way down each road? What about garbage collection vehicles stopping at every home? Mail carriers? Traffic flow will be crippled. Dozens of neighborhood service crews exit and enter the yard all day long, busy completing necessary maintenance throughout the community. For example, salting roads. How will this affect services when the crews are sitting in traffic from the time they exit the yard and again when they return multiple times throughout the day? How will emergencies be affected in these and other developments when police, fire, and EMTs can't get through the traffic when every second counts? What will happen when there are funeral processions, adding to the already overwhelming concentration of vehicles? Although there are additional public safety hazards associated with the fourth round plan that I will go into, doesn't the traffic impasse in itself signify game over? Moving on. The next topic is water, and we should probably be evaluating how and at what cost sooner than rather than later. There are a significant number of wells on the north side. The developments will need water, and there are only 2 hookups, each approximately 1.5 miles away. The roads will be closed to install the lines. Who will pay for the installation? Water will be needed for drinking, sprinkler systems, irrigation systems, and sewer. It will also be needed for fire hydrants requiring pressure of 500 gallons per minute. Whether or not we have the pressure is another question. If not, we'll need a water tower. Where will this be constructed? Who will construct it? When and at what cost? $24 million? How much water will we need from New Jersey American, and what will that cost be? Water infrastructure will need to be completed before the houses are built. Will this excavation disturb the surrounding wells? What impact will this have on the sewer plant? Should we be discussing expansion modifications to the plant now? And at what cost, and when would construction begin? Additionally, there are significant DEP issues relating to these parcels. Among other issues in question, the land is too wet, and due to the topography, the land will always be too wet. A most recent example of the land being unbuildable is with the Flying W. After 10-plus years of litigation and engineering plans, the plans must be significantly reduced per the DEP. The Flying W is across the street. What makes that land any different? Are we going to go through all these hurdles and expenses only to have the DEP eventually tell us what we already know, that the land is too wet? Kirby's Mill is the lowest point in Medford. Everything drains down to these parcels. Great for raising crops and livestock, but not for building lots of homes, especially stacked. Did you know that homeowners insurance doesn't cover faulty construction? Isn't it unconscionable to approve laying foundations on wet soil overlaid with new soil that hasn't properly settled, knowing that the foundations will settle and could fail without the eventual homeowner being aware and then not having any recourse? Another serious public safety risk is the flooding risk of the sewer plant due to the proximity of the watershed. The sewer plant sits on the southwest branch of the Rancocas and the creek. If the plant already at capacity ever flooded, there would be catastrophic consequences. In conclusion, due to the compelling overlying public safety hazards cited, I'm requesting Council file a motion with Fair Share to vacate the fourth round plan, request a stay, and submit a safe, feasible plan. The plan was filed in haste and is critically flawed and fundamentally flawed. It exemplifies bad planning and public safety hazards, which the Mount Laurel Doctrine does not provide for. The Township is in full compliance with all four rounds and currently has immunity from builder's remedy. I'm willing to meet with Council in an executive session to review all the supporting documentation assembled over the past 6 months, which will enable Council to further determine next steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pollack.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Sure.
I've worked with Kim too, and I know everything she says is completely accurate. And this must happen throughout the state, that there are other plans and the infrastructure won't support it. What resources do we have now? Kim had some ideas. Will that work? Can we do those things?
So I will tell you that there was 22 municipalities in the state of New Jersey that filed an application in federal court for this exact relief. Federal court dismissed it. The Third Circuit dismissed it. It's currently on appeal to the Supreme Court pending certiorari. Sorry, it's a hard word to say sometimes. And we don't know what the U.S. Supreme Court's going to do, but 2 courts have reviewed it, 2 courts have dismissed it.
It's quite the quagmire. These
is.
are challenges that will be thrust upon us in the future, and again, they are all valid challenges, and we don't have any current mechanism to deal with these challenges. There's like the train's coming right at us, and we don't know how to get out of the way.
I have another question. Morristown, I don't want to talk about another town, but they seem to have handled that problem. Do they hire an advisor, or? I know they got a big grant, and then they built, not a high-rise, but, they didn't build single homes to meet their...
There was 100% affordable building.
Yes, yeah. I was wondering if they hired a consultant. How did they figure out how to do that?
Was it the municipality that...
The municipality used Affordable Housing Trust money,
and
they provided the land, and I forget what other mechanisms they provided, but as we had done in the second or third round for Volunteers of America.
Yeah, you would have to have the land and pay. You'd go out for a bid to build 100% affordability on your own. Then you would get an additional credit per unit. So if you had the funds to acquire the land had the land.
Which would be fortune.
And then also, then you have to pay for the construction to get the extra credit. So there are some municipalities that have done that. I wasn't familiar with Morristown doing it. I know Mansfield is doing it.
Yeah, I knew that Mansfield.
But I did not
How
know
do they,
about that.
it's an ignorant question, but, you know, we're just ordinary people. Do they hire consultants to figure all this out? You know what I mean? I know we have a lawyer, and that's you, and that's wonderful, but then there are people that know about building and specific laws. I don't know, I'm just asking.
Every town it's a shifting sand everywhere. Because no two towns are like, you have, for example, Mullica. Mullica is in the middle of the Pinelands. What Mullica, how they're confronting the affordability crisis is entirely different than a town such as Medford, or a town such as Cherry Hill, or Evesham. It all depends on where you're at. You do have the same idea of which professionals you are utilizing. You're using an attorney, you're using a planner, you're using an engineer. There may be different firms, but there's different. It's too much of a shifting sand to give you an exact. This is the.
And we have a new administration in Trenton. Is that going to change? That won't change anything.
I don't know.
It
could, but I don't know.
I know with the money for the schools, it changes with the new administration, sort of.
Mayor, if I may? Sure. One item, I did check with Greg, but we have a new lawyer here today, so let's ask him. I did tell Kim when we chatted on Wednesday that I believe she could not come to executive session. Would you confirm?
Correct. She's not allowed to be part of the executive session. Only
because that was something you had brought up, and I told you I would check, and I did, but I thought, I have a new lawyer. Let's put him on the spot.
I apologize, but no. It's only for the members of council that are allowed to be present. Mr. Hornicle.
If I may, through the subcommittee, there is an opportunity to allow the subcommittee to do the work that they're intended to do and have kind of maybe, I don't want to call it a final presentation, but kind of a net sum of all those interactions presented to council. I would hope that would be done in a public forum.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And with, additional time granted for that specific topic, maybe one of the future town halls that we have at that time. But, I would agree with Mr. Varga that it's actually better that we have it in public.
Yes.
Right, than in private.
And Kim, if I may,
I'm
we'll
happy
be on
to,
the subcommittee.
I have the everything that I put together I can give to council. But I'd just like to make one point if I have 15 seconds left or 10 seconds.
I think there was an extra 15 seconds.
Oh, good. Okay. The point that I'm making isn't about the impacts. I know that has failed in court, across the board. It's the safety.
Yeah.
And the public safety hazards are what I'm pointing out. The traffic, to me, is game over. 2,000 cars a day, in addition to the cars that are already traveling, is gridlock. And it can't be, there's no way around it. So I really think that we need to talk about vacating the plan. It's a bad plan, and I went into the other reasons. Is that a possibility?
No, we have to have a plan adopted by March 15th.
Understood, but can it be revised? Can we go back?
No.
Ms. Pollack, if I may, and thank you for those comments.
Understood. Understood.
We have attempted to file for extensions.
Yeah.
I know the Dassey Law Firm is reaching out to Fair Share and with the intent to do more as much as we can, and through the subcommittee and the efforts of our firm, with the Dassey firm, I believe we're doing everything we can while still maintaining compliance.
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam.
Jessica Stashewski, 5 Butler Court. I just have a couple quick things tonight. Mr. Hornick, has the site suitability analysis been submitted to Fair Share Housing yet, or have we received an extension deadline date?
Would you like us to answer?
I mean, if I can shoot off the three, or okay.
Yeah.
During the planning board hearing, Mr. Taylor handed out a paper outlining the procedures that had to go through and prospective dates. One of those dates was the introduction of the redevelopment ordinance at tonight's meeting. I don't see that on the agenda, so I'm assuming that is not happening tonight. So does that mean it's not then going to be discussed at the planning board on the 28th, and are we still going to meet all of our timelines? Do you want me to keep firing off?
Yeah,
or-
keep going.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm ruining my answers.
And then the last one, I know you spoke about the Ds not being able to be extended until round 5. How did Tom's River extend them for round 4? What was their mechanism that allowed them to count?
Sure, so Tom's River,
If I may, would you?
So that's it,
That's
yeah.
everything. Okay, all
I
right.
apologize, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, no problem.
May I answer?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Tom's River was unique. So their deed, these restrictions expired prior to the start of round 4.
Prior to the start, prior to 2025?
Correct.
Okay.
So under the revised regulations, if you have deeds that were going to expire and you wanted to utilize them for your 4th round, you had to begin the process a year prior to the start of 2025.
And have the funds?
And have the funds.
Right,
So Tom's
okay.
River had millions upon millions of dollars, and they were allowed to essentially utilize all of these deeds that were going to expire prior to the start of 2025, utilize those funds, and then essentially restart those deeds starting 2025. So that's why Tom's River was unique.
Right, because we had that 2024 when everything was announced, so they had that gap period to be able to use them. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
On the site suitability analysis, last week we received 3 of the locations, Flying W, Trollinger Key, and Camp EFS, Camp EFS. We're still waiting on Kirby's Mill. And then council will submit them to fair share. So if you want to send me a reminder, I can share them with you.
And have we gotten the date though, extended in our agreement? Because the date was originally February 1st, so has that officially
We're
been
waiting for
extended?
We're waiting for the court to respond on it.
Correct.
Because I would assume at that point in time, we're not technically compliant because we didn't provide that element.
That is a very tough question to answer definitively
Okay.
because we are acting in good faith.
Well, and I know the
what
snow
we are
didn't help, so
pursuing-
does the snow help?
The snow helps. We're acting in good faith. We're utilizing a redevelopment process, which is unique because in the redevelopment process, there are inherent timelines
Right.
that are not traditional for typical development, where you require the interplay of a hearing to declare a property you need a redevelopment, then you need a planning board action, then you need a municipal action, then you need municipal action to adopt the redevelopment plan, followed back by planning board action.
Followed by
back-
DCA, followed-
Back to this, so there's a lot of hot potato back and forth. So as long as we, at least my opinion is going to be, as long as we are advancing in good faith this process, we are in compliance, and that is what I believe the township is doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's our intention to not introduce an ordinance prematurely, so that's why you're not seeing it on tonight's agenda. When, to Mr. Varga's point, having an opportunity to still have a March 3rd meeting to introduce, and then if the court understands that we're trying to act on the best judgment of the township and allows us till the March 17th meeting, which currently is formatted as a town hall, but we may have to take action at that meeting to pass
Right.
the second reading.
But it has to have, doesn't it have to have doesn't it
There would
council,
have to be,
planning
there would
board,
have to be a
council?
planning board meeting,
In
and
between
I'll
that.
I'll deem that a special planning board
Right,
meeting
okay.
scheduled in the interim if the council chooses to pass on first reading on March 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jessica, can I take 10 seconds of your time?
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you a heads up. Jessica has sent a ton of questions in, both orally and electronically. Chris Knowles will be at our first Affordable Housing Subcommittee, ready with answers for every question. I've written them out, you've written them out. He's got the list, and he will, with Daniel's blessing, he will be at our first meeting at 7 p.m. I believe we chose Ray, Councilman Cox.
6:30, I think.
6:30.
Yeah, and he's ready with
Okay,
answers.
that's fine. I didn't want to waste anyone's time, so I figured just
Yeah.
questions. Okay, thank you.
And just, thank you, Jessica. Just, do we have an exact date, time, and location for the subcommittee? And this is for members only, but just so the public's aware that it will be.
Members only, yes.
It is going to be on February 26th at 6:30 in the second floor conference room of Town Hall.
Who are the members?
Right now, we have the three resident members,
Okay.
Mrs. Pollock, Jessica, and
Mike Pagnotta.
thank you, thank you.
So he's an architect
And then two from the
engineer.
school board and then,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Who's
Our
coming from the
first
school
meeting, they
board?
will not be there.
First members are just going to be the residential
Oh,
members.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Mary Lux, I would love to give you more time. I'm so sorry. Yeah, all right. Random act of kindness. We're going to repeat the subcommittee dates.
Subcommittee date, the first meeting is going to be just the preliminary meeting with just the residential members of the subcommittee. That subcommittee is going to meet on February 26th at 6:30. We're going to be meeting at the second floor conference room of Town Hall. At this time, it's not. We will have a town hall, which we'll be having a fuller committee meeting. This meeting is designed basically to allow us to kind of focus our energies and identify the path forward as a subcommittee that we want to take at this time. You're welcome. And there will be updates, obviously, at each of the council meetings thereafter, just to provide the public information as to what happened at those subcommittee meetings as well.
I hate to ask, are you going to put this on the website?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, great.
All right. Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none. Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, public comment's closed. We're going to move on to the manager's report. Mr. Hornicle?
Thank you, Mayor. I have two items for your consideration tonight. The first is for compressed work week or summer hours for staff. We did this last summer, June, July, and August, and we have a lot of employees who work second jobs. This was a big benefit for a lot of them that don't get the opportunity to do errands during the week because they're at work, or they go to work and then they immediately go to a second job. So under the code, the township manager has authority to set hours subject to input and consent from council. So I would ask that council give that consideration, and if it's acceptable, we would certainly be sure to notify the public in the coming weeks. We would have our hours updated on the website. We would have signs on the doors. We would do some social media posts in advance to let the public know of these changed hours.
Could you read out the hours now?
Sure, certainly. So we're proposing the office hours start earlier in the day at 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Staff would have a 45-minute lunch period. This would be Monday through Thursday instead of an hour lunch period. And then Fridays would be, Town Hall would be open from 8 a.m. to noon.
And Daniel, I know that it was well received last year from the staff. Did you get any complaints about those hours from any of the residents?
In the entire summer, we fielded one complaint from a resident who, when we explained what the summer hours were, withdrew her complaint because she was happy that she could come in earlier to do her business. But other than that, no, we did not have complaints.
What are the dates of those summer hours?
We had proposed in a slightly longer schedule this year from April to September. And then if it's...
Could I just ask why April was selected?
It doesn't have to be April. It was just a proposal. If council says May, May is fine.
It was May, June, July of
Well,
last year?
we did it June, July, and August of last
June,
year.
July, and August.
It makes sense for it to be summer, I would think.
And my thinking is Memorial Day.
Memorial Day to Labor Day,
Memorial Day to Labor Day.
we would be happy with that.
And
Memorial to Labor?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
were there, you had mentioned a 45-minute break Monday to Thursday. Is there a break on the Friday?
No.
Straight?
Nope, just 4 hours. Yep.
I do have one more question. The 45-minute lunch, is that the half-hour lunch they're entitled to plus their 15-minute break combined? Or do they still get 2 additional 15-minute breaks?
So they actually have a 1 hour unpaid lunch, and it's a 10-minute break.
So this is being reduced?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, council,
And you
on
have,
behalf of the staff. And I have one other item to share with you. We run the public works yard. We, over the past year, we have changed our mode of operation there, and we have basically strictly implemented the township code, which does not permit commercial entities to dump at the public works yard. We are proposing to continue to refine the hours of operation and what we accept there. Right now, we are literally doing a duplication of services. We're taking things, and the county dump is taking things, such as tires on rims, which really we have no business taking because we have to take the tires off the rims, which means we have to use mechanics to do that, whereas the county has an operation that does that countywide. We're accepting pressure-treated lumber. Again, the county is the locus for disposal of hazard waste. We really aren't. And then additionally, concrete. We're taking concrete that all we're doing is picking it up and taking it over to the county landfill. So we're proposing to stop accepting these things. And by the way, the concrete, since we've tightened our controls on the township dump, has dropped dramatically. So really, it wouldn't be much of a difference. We're looking to tweak the hours. Our public works director and assistant director took a hard look at when people use the yard, and the highest days are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we're proposing to close the yard on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but add an extra Saturday because residents do use it on Saturday. So it'll be an expansion of service in that we'll have 2 Saturdays a month instead of 1, but we'll be able to, during the week, close the yard on Tuesdays and Thursdays and reallocate 2 staff members to do more of the streets and roads and maintenance that we really need help with. So that's, and plus it'll also help us with our budget this year because we can, if we implement this come April, we can budget less for those costs.
And the 2 Saturdays is great, it really is.
Great. Yep.
What would the hours be on Saturday?
It would be the same hours that there are now. I think it might be 9 to 1. And we would do that, and then 2 Saturdays. And then, again, if for some reason the Saturday fell on a holiday, which rarely happens, but it could, we would just make sure we do social media blast well in advance to let the public know that it's not open.
Yeah.
Would you put the county dump address
Yeah.
with
fine.
that?
No problem. Yep.
Just make it easier so people know
Thank you.
where to
Good
go,
idea.
where to bring their extra items.
Yep. Thank you, Council.
All right. And, just as a resident, it's convenient to have our own dump, but then obviously when we look at the cost of these things and we look at our budget, tipping fees are going up and other things. So ways to control that, obviously getting the contractors out of there has been probably a huge help for us.
Yeah.
So,
And eliminating duplication of service.
correct. Yep. Okay, thank you for that. Ms. Wicker, the clerk's report.
Thanks. So tonight we are asking for approval for super and regular 50/50 licenses for St. Mary the Lakes Church, March 11th through 16th, from 4 to 9 p.m. So all in favor?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Another 50/50 for St. Mary's. Yeah. All right, and we're going to move on to the bills list. We have one bills list dated February 12th, 2026. Do any members of council have any questions or comments on the bills list? No? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, bills list is approved. Next, we're going to move on to ordinances for introduction. We have, our first ordinance is ordinance 2020-6.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table ordinance 2026-2. I know we've reviewed this ordinance a number of times over the past recent meetings, but my concern is with establishing salaries without a budget for the calendar year. So I would prefer that we wait, if possible, if council agrees and my motion to table passes, that we wait and include this as part of our budgetary discussions for this calendar year.
I would like to second that motion, but I have a question first. One of the items on there is the Deputy Chief of Fire. To me, that's important. Is there a way to take that one out Or is there a way to take any of them out of the ordinance and vote on them? Or is it an all for one and one for all?
It's an all for one for all for one, or one for all.
All right. I will still second that motion.
And Councilman Cox, I definitely understand the concern, very valid, but I do also understand Deputy Mayor Voorhees' concern about, we're basically drafting a position at that point, so potentially if the staff could work on an ordinance specifically identifying the deputy fire chief.
Yes.
Are there other positions you'd like to?
There's the automation engineer. I would like to see that one.
Public Works?
In Public Works. I'd like to see that one pulled out as well.
Are you comfortable with that? Okay. All right, so we're going to need, we have a motion and a second to table ordinance 2020-6. We'll need a roll call on that.
Roll call.
Roll call on that?
Ms. Seymour?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Mill?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Voorhees?
Aye.
Mayor Sizzle?
Aye. So that ordinance is tabled, and then we'll potentially at the next council meeting have an ordinance to establish a deputy fire chief and an automation engineer.
Great.
And then at which time the budget is passed, we can reintroduce ordinance 2026-2. Okay. So that would be the ordinances for introduction. We now have ordinances for second reading with their public hearing. Councilwoman Milk, would you like to make a motion on ordinance 2026-4?
Yes, I move that council adopt on second read ordinance 2026-4, amending development regulations, section 900, fees, guarantees, inspections, and off-track improvements.
Thank you. This ordinance requires property owners and developers to satisfy outstanding escrow amounts before applying for additional land use board applications. It also clearly lays out the fee schedule and escrow amounts for a variety of land use applications. Now we're going to open this ordinance up for public hearing. If anyone would like to speak to this ordinance specifically, raise your hand and you'll be called to the microphone. The same standards of public comment will apply. 5 minutes plus one if needed, and be nice to your neighbors. Seeing none, motion to close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And Ms. Wicker, we can have a roll call for adoption.
Yes, I needed a second for the ordinance.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I did.
No, for the public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll make the second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Seymour?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Mill?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Voorhees?
Aye.
Mayor Sizzle?
Aye. All right.
Mayor, if I just one comment for the public to understand. You didn't raise a single fee when you passed this ordinance.
Yep.
You're simply requiring property owners to be accountable for outstanding escrow balances. So I just don't want the public to think you're up here raising fees when that is not what you did.
Very fair. And yet,
Thank you.
With the adoption of this ordinance, as Mr. Hornicle mentioned, they have a very clear fee schedule now that they can refer to if they're looking to make application for land use boards. All right. So now we will move on to our consent agenda resolutions, and I'll give Mr. Barca an opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's come to my attention that Deputy Mayor Voorhees has a conflict with Resolution 54-2026, authorizing and approving a transportation billing agreement with Virtual Health Incorporation. I would ask that that resolution be moved from the consent agenda and voted on separately, so we would just need a motion, first, second, and then all in favor.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you can go back to the consent agenda, then we'll hit Resolution 54-2026 afterwards.
Great. Thank you, sir. All right. So consent agenda resolutions. We will begin with Resolution 55-2026, authorizing cancellation of 2026 property taxes on properties owned by a qualified totally disabled veteran. Resolution 56-2026, authorizing solicitation of roadway permits for Medford Sunshine Rotary. Resolution 57-2026, rejecting sole bid for Wellhouse 6 rehabilitation. Resolution 58-2026, authorizing an application to the Hazardous Discharge Site Remediation Fund for the cleanup of 175A Taunton Boulevard. Resolution 59-2026, authorizing a contract with Deckers Hardscaping and Landscaping, Inc. in the amount of $38,250 for the canoe launch improvements. I'm going to need help with the name here. Resolution 60-2026, authorizing the award of contract to Coin. Okay. Chemical Company in the amount of $71,493.50 for the supply and delivery of various chemicals to the Medford Township Water and Sewer Utility. Resolution 61, 2026, authorizing the award of contract to USA LCO LLC in the amount up to $131,070 for the supply and delivery of liquid aluminum sulfate for the Medford Township Water and Sewer Utility. Resolution 62, 2026, authorizing the award of a contract to Shannon Chemical Company in the amount up to $10,318 for the supply and delivery of corrosion inhibitor for the Medford Township Water and Sewer Utility. And my favorite, Resolution 63, 2026, authorizing the award of contract to Miracle Chemical Company in the amount up to $231,723 for the supply and delivery of liquid sodium bisulfate and liquid sodium hydrochlorate for the Medford Township Water and Sewer Utility. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the consent agenda resolutions?
Mr. Mayor, I do. On, Mr. Hornicle, on resolutions 59 through 63, 2026, we have approximately $500,000 in expenditures. I'm just curious, are they all encumbered as part of our temporary budget, or are some of these expenditures going into what may become the permanent budget for the calendar year?
So starting with 59, we actually have about 32,000 of grant funds remaining for that project, and we have the other 6,000 in capital.
Okay.
So that one's okay.
And what was that grant from?
That was a grant that we got from the local recreation improvement program to clear the creek and upgrade the canoe launch.
Okay.
60, 61, 62, and 63, we do annual bids for chemical contracts. These are all paid out of the utility budget. The certification of funds indicates that the funds are certified against the temporary and permanent budget when such is passed. But these are typical.
So these amounts listed are for a combination for the annual budget as well as the temporary budget?
Just the utility budget.
Just the utility
Correct.
budget.
These are solely from the water and sewer utility. Yes, US Alco is pretty much the sole source for liquid aluminum sulfate. Miracle Chemical Company came in with the best prices for liquid sodium bisulfate and liquid sodium hypochlorite. Those are for coagulants for the plant to help separate the solids from the waste and to purify the water.
Are there limitations on the expenditures until so that they're limited to solely what's in the temporary budgets right now? My concern is giving allowance for the full year up to a dollar amount for the fiscal year without having an adopted budget.
I mean, this is really a timing issue of when we put these out to bid.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to ratchet these back a little bit. So like 3 of these contracts are for 14 months. Our goal is to eventually push them into the summer. That way we can get a budget done before we put these things out to bid in the future. So we're just trying to move them off of the old cycle was literally a calendar year. And I appreciate what you're saying about that.
And what are these chemicals for?
They're all for either the water system to kill any bacteria in the water system. Very small doses of chlorine would be used through an automated pump. And then for the sewer plant, they're for purifying the wastewater and for helping the solids, coagulates the technical term, so that they can sink to the bottom and be removed and treated separately. And I do want to extend the invitation. I know not a good time of year to go, but once it warms up, any council member wants to take a tour of the 18 Fostertown Road, we would be happy to walk you through it.
So if I may on that, I did take the tour of the sewer plant. It's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that as a joke. I really do mean that. The amount of work that's done there and the amount of energy that goes into running our own MUA, aside from the administrative part of it, the very limited staff we have and the dedication they have to that plant is unbelievable. So, but these are very valid and good questions.
I raised it. I reached out to Mr. Hornicle this week with some budget questions, and I want to thank him for his response. And my concern is authorizing these expenditures, knowing what council faced going into this year's calendar year budget, and not knowing where we are right now. It does give me pause with these amounts. I appreciate the grant funds. One of the things I would ask Mr. Hornicle, if possible, I know we talked about the budget, if there's any way of getting a budget development calendar to council, so we have an idea as to when we can hit various benchmarks as to what we can begin reviewing in terms of the operating budget as well as the capital budget. Because obviously, I don't want to vote no on these chemicals that are vital to the operation, but like I said, my concern is approving these expenditures without a full budget.
These are strictly in the water and sewer utility where we did have a pretty healthy surplus. So these expenses are pretty consistent with what we previously budgeted and spent. Fortunately, the chemical cost went up very minimally, like under 3%. So that's, a blessing to us.
And, go ahead. Now, my thing was just on the Resolution 59, 2026. It doesn't mention a location, but just so people know, that is on the Rancocas, correct?
Yeah, it's Coach Street. I think we have a canoe launch on Coach Street.
Okay.
Which is open to the public.
Yes, it's public canoe launch.
Yep.
It's very well utilized for kayaks.
I can attest to that. I would be comfortable entertaining a motion at this point. Is that the next step? Yeah.
I would make a motion to pass these.
I'll second that.
Ms. Santamore?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Mill?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Voorhees?
Aye.
Mayor Sizzle?
Aye. All right, before we move on to 54, which we've moved out of consent, I did want to echo Councilwoman Milk awareness of Resolution 59. This represents much more than a contract. It reflects the commitment to preserving our community and the nature assets that we have that are very special. A few years ago, as some may recall, residents from Medford brought the condition of the creek to our attention.
Oh, right.
They came to several meetings, they spoke up, and through their involvement and interaction, we were able to procure the grant, which I believe at the time was upwards of $75,000 or so.
We got two grants, one for $60,000, the other for $5,000 from Sustainable Jersey.
Perfect. So, through that effort, public engagement, and then the administrative effort to secure those grants, we were not only able to clear the creek, which allowed for easy access for not only the members of Medford Lease, but all Medford residents. But now we have some additional funds. Obviously, some are going to come out of capital budget to make an improvement to the launch. But this is a resource that every Medford resident could and should be utilizing. It's a phenomenal afternoon on a great day to go down the Rancocas. You just get a totally different perspective. So I definitely want to thank the residents of Medford Lees and the administrative staff for kind of following through with some of these efforts here. It's really helped the community. All right, so we now will read Resolution 54, is that correct?
Correct, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. So, Resolution 54, 2026, authorization approving a transportation billing agreement with Virtua Health Incorporated.
Correct.
Right? And Deputy Mayor Voorhees will abstain.
Correct.
Right? So I'll ask for a
motion, a second, and then roll call.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Ms. Santamore? Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Mill?
Aye.
Mayor Voorhees?
Jeez.
Mayor Sizzle?
Aye. All right.
That's it?
Resolution passes.
Correct.
Okay. I probably should have mentioned this during consent agenda resolutions, but Resolution 56, I'd personally like, on behalf of council, I should say, I'd like to thank the members of the Medford Sunshine Rotary for all they do I know Sherry and Andy are huge proponents of they're huge assets to our community, and giving them an opportunity through this permit to solicit funds and do things with those funds that I think are extraordinary. Flags of honor in Freedom Park and all the volunteer efforts that those funds support. I think it's a really good effort, and I thank members of council for passing that. So we will now be going into our executive session, Resolution ES 0217-2026, contract negotiation, and I guess 2 contract negotiations. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Mr. Cox, second?
Yes, second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we are now in our executive session. You're welcome to stay in the room. We should be...
Action won't be taken.
Action will not be taken. How long do you feel?
30 minutes.
30 minutes? Okay. All right. Okay, wow. It's my honor to reconvene the open portion of the meeting. No action was taken. We did discuss the items on the executive session agenda. I'll now request a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.